Mark's standing under those glossy dealership lights. And wow, they really know how to make a car feel like a dream. The paint is flawless. The cabin smells brand new. He hits the start button, and the whole dashboard wakes up like it's showing off. For a second, he's just there, hands on the wheel, picturing himself rolling into work, feeling a little sharper, a little more put together. Then the salesperson asks the question that sounds harmless, even mature. What monthly payment are you comfortable with? And that's the trap. Because Mark isn't thinking about the full price. He's not thinking about interest, depreciation, or how long this payment might quietly cling to his life. He's just trying to land on a number that doesn't sting, something that fits the life he already has. And honestly, that's how most people walk into this. Not trying to be flashy, not trying to be reckless, just wanting something dependable, something that makes the day-to-day easier, something that feels responsible. But here's the weird part. Mark could drive home in the exact same car, same trim, same color, same everything, and one small choice in the paperwork could send his money in totally different directions. One path keeps him tied to payments forever-ish. One path leaks cash in a way that's easy to ignore. And one path, the quieter one, gives future Mark way more breathing room than he expected. That's the part I can't stop noticing, you know? Everyday money choices almost never feel huge while we're making them, but they can shape years. I'm Vanessa, and I love breaking down the stuff people treat like just normal life when it's actually messing with their net worth. And this is exactly why car buying gets people. At the dealership, all three options can look smart. All three can feel adult. That's what makes it such a sneaky fork in the road. Because the story people tell themselves is always the same. It's only $400 and something a month. Totally manageable. That's how it usually starts. Not with panic, with a number that feels fine. Mark didn't walk in planning to wreck his finances. He walked in thinking like a normal person. I need something safe, reliable, not ancient, not absurd, just reasonable. But your brain does this little magic trick where it turns a massive purchase into a small monthly subscription. You stop seeing a $32,000 car and start seeing a $468 payment. And that mental switch is powerful. Also, expensive. Say Mark takes that $468 payment for 6 years. By the time he's done, he's paid $33,696. The car at the end might be worth somewhere around 12 to 15 grand. So yeah, it felt civilized. It felt practical. It did not feel like a financial fire. But it was still a long bill in disguise. And that's not just a one-off thing. Longer auto loans are super common now. The average new car loan has pushed past 5 years, and a lot of them stretch beyond 6. Lower monthly payment, sure. But the total cost climbs fast. You feel relief today, and you pay for it later. So let's talk about the same car, but 3 different paths. Mark's looking at a $28,000 vehicle, same exact ride. 3 choices. First, lease it. Lower monthly payment, brand new car, warranty coverage, easy life. Clean setup. It sounds neat. Predictable. Very, I have my act together. Second, finance it with a long loan, like 6 or 7 years. The payment looks friendlier, the dealership smiles, and it feels like a responsible middle ground. Third, buy a slightly used version, maybe with a shorter loan or a stronger down payment. Less glamorous, a little less shiny, maybe not as exciting when you're standing under those lights. But financially, very different story. Same category. 3 totally different outcomes. And emotionally, that's the trick. The lease and the long loan both feel like upgrades. The smarter used car path can feel like settling. You don't realize you're really choosing between comfort now and freedom later. Let's start with leasing, because that one is the treadmill a lot of people don't notice they're on. Leasing feels safe. Mark likes that. Lower payment, no surprise repairs, new car every few years, just hand it back and get another one. Very neat. Very tidy. But the part people don't love saying out loud is this: you're basically renting your lifestyle on repeat. Let's say Mark leases at $399 a month for 36 months. That's $14,364 for one round. Then the cycle starts over, and over, and over. Fast forward a few leases, and suddenly he's spent a huge amount of money and owns nothing. And because the payment resets every few years, it never feels dramatic. That's the genius of it. It's like financial amnesia with leather seats. A lot of people choose leases because the monthly number looks easier, which makes sense. People shop by what feels affordable today, not by what they'll have spent over time. But that doesn't make it cheap. It just makes it feel easier to swallow. Now, the long loan route. This is the one people often defend with, "At least I'll own it." And sure, that sounds better than leasing. But long loans have their own sneaky little mess. When you stretch the term to 72 months or more, you spend a long time underwater, meaning you owe more than the car is worth. That matters because if you trade it in too early, or life changes and you need to move on, the leftover debt doesn't just vanish, it follows you. That's how people end up rolling old car debt into the next car loan. And then the numbers start laying on top of each other like bad habits in a trench coat. Example? Marco's $18,000, but the car's only worth $13,000. So now he rolls the extra $5,000 into the next loan. And just like that, he's paying for yesterday's car while driving today's. That's not ownership. That's baggage with wheels. And this is why car debt feels so normal. Cars are tied to identity, comfort, safety, and status. You use one every day, so the stretch feels justified. You tell yourself, I commute, I work hard, I deserve something nice. I'll keep it for a long time. Totally human thoughts. Not dumb, human. But AWA has pointed out that the average annual cost of owning a new vehicle is over $10,000 when you factor in depreciation, fuel, insurance, maintenance, and financing. Most people never feel that whole number. They only feel the monthly payment. And that gap, that's where wealth quietly slips away. Now, for the option most people skip past, because it isn't as sexy. Slightly used, shorter loan, maybe a bigger down payment, maybe a car that's 2 or 3 years old instead of brand new. Yeah, the payment might be higher at first, or the car might not have that fresh off the lot sparkle. Fine, but the trade-off is huge. Picture Mark paying $550 a month for 36 months, then having a $0 car payment for the next 5 years. If you took that same $550 and invested it monthly at 8%, he could end up with more than $40,000. Same transportation, completely different future. And I know what some people say here. Okay, but Vanessa, I want to enjoy my life now. Totally fair. I get it. But here's the thing. Freedom later usually buys way more enjoyment than heated seats today. The real cost of the car isn't just the sticker. It's what the payment blocks. That $450 to $600 a month could be building an emergency fund, paying off debt, investing, creating options, buying time. Instead, it becomes background noise. Like a subscription you barely notice, except this one costs 10 times more than streaming and lasts way longer. And that's the point. Mark doesn't destroy his finances with one huge mistake. He just accepts a payment that stays around longer than it should. That's how wealth gets delayed. Not always crushed, just postponed. So yeah, same car, 3 paths, 3 futures. One keeps you in a loop of payments that feel manageable but never really end. One quietly stacks up debt you never meant to create. And one, the boring-looking one, gives your future self room to breathe. And the hardest part? In the dealership, all 3 can feel responsible. All 3 can feel adult. None of them scream bad decision in the moment. You weren't trying to sabotage your future. You weren't trying to be careless. You just wanted something reliable so life would run smoother. That's it. And honestly, that's why this is such a useful lesson. Not because you should never buy a car, and not because you should drive something miserable just to prove you're disciplined. No, that's not the vibe. It's about awareness. It's about realizing the structure of the deal matters a lot more than the badge on the hood. Because once you start seeing car choices as wealth choices, you stop rushing through that moment. You ask better questions. You run the numbers again. You pause long enough to let your future self vote. And that changes things. Not overnight, not in some dramatic movie montage, just slowly, quietly. You feel a little more flexible, a little less trapped, a little more in control. And once you start seeing car decisions as wealth decisions, you don't just drive differently, you live differently. If this made you look at car payments a little differently, good. That was the point. And if you like calm, honest breakdowns of how everyday money decisions shape your future, hit subscribe. I post about the psychology of money, investing, and the small habits that actually move your net worth over time. Now, I want to know, which path have you taken before? Lease, long loan, or the smarter buy? Drop it in the comments. I read way more of them than you'd think. All right, thanks for hanging out with me. I'll see you in the next one.